My name is Brant Hunt. Today is the 29th day May. What I'm going to talk to you about is the whole way of deceiving you. Uh, it's just a classic gameplay. I mean, it's been done in human history. It's been done for a long time. They give you illustrations of this, what I call in the Masonic pictures they show. So I'm going to show that here in a second. And most people are unaware of, of this. They don't see it. They don't understand it. So what I'm going to do is go here, go to share here. So this is the whole idea going on with this. You'll see that the Masonic drawing here, or what they're symbolizing, something here. Now, I'm not a great thinker of all this, but I do know simply is through the perspective of how we're divided. In reality, simply as you'll see, this particular pillar is taller than the other one. I don't see that as they're both being the same. Okay. The whole idea of simply is this is Jacob's ladder going to heaven. You'll notice that one is a solar pillar, the other is the lunar pillar, which are representing masculine, meaning solar, the moon representing the feminine. But the whole key is not to be on either side here. Okay, that's the whole key. So what they do in all of our lives, they divide us. And this particular black and white checkered board or chessboard here is telling you that we all struggle with this, including me. So I'm not above anybody else. I want you to make sure you know that, because I struggle with this also. Is to keep you in division, to keep you divided. When you entered this particular realm as a child, you were in your essence. You were whole. You were not divided. The sad part simply is that we lost that wonderment with ourselves. We were perfect at that stage. You see, we know the scripture saying it simply is that we're fearfully and wondrous made. Okay, so that means simply is that the Creator. I mean, we don't even understand the whole essence of life, how it even starts. We don't. We don't understand the realm. Basically, there's a baby in a mom's womb, and eventually at some time, which actually your birthday is not your birthday, meaning simply is that you were in your mom's womb for 9 months or 8 months, depending on what had happened. But the point simply is you started before you actually left the birth canal. So what this whole thing is that you were in wonderment as a child, as a baby, once you left your mom's womb. Okay. What is happened is simply is that your parents had already were not. They just simply continue the process that what they learned from their parents, and then their parents learned from their parents and their parents, and it just continues on. This is why you don't see a lot of times much progress in families. They That's why many families, in certain ways, have they beat up on each other. They don't respect one another. They learned that. That's a learned situation, you see. And so this is what you need to understand simply is what's happening is simply is that you need to understand that simply is that you, by your decisions, and this is true by what we're seeing here in this Masonic deal, is the solar and lunar pillars. The key is simply is as you see the key dangling from the here, as the woman is actually there symbolizing. I don't know what she's symbolizing, so I don't know all that. But you'll notice that actually there's a E at the top. It's Eastern. You'll notice the North is here and the South is here, and the W is the West. I would assume that the W here means wisdom. Okay, and that's where you want to aim at. That's why you want to go up and enter this particular things. I wish this thing would actually open up larger. Would give it a better way of actually seeing this in order for me to diagram this whole thing. But the sad part simply is they don't do that. So your object of your life is to go up this ladder, but you also have to you have to see the two separate pillars. So this is the right and the left. This is the Republican and Democratic Party. These are all these. This is either this or that. Okay, it's all life. Why is it just two choices? Okay, you got to ask yourself, why is it this way and why is it that? You must be curious about these things. You must be. It's not just simply having knowledge. That's not what it's about. Yes, knowledge is important, but you must be curious at first to seek out these things. To seek out why there are such these mysteries. Why is this thing up here? Okay. And what you want to be is back to your essence of who you were when you first entered this particular world, this particular realm. And so Jacob's ladder is a symbolic way of simply as you move to heaven. Heaven, is it a real place? I doubt it. It's just a way of demonstrating that you are moving up the realm. That is, you're expanding your own thoughts while you're here. You're moving up that particular ladder. That's what you want to do. You don't want to be on either of these two pillars. Okay, and so that's critical for you to understand. So why did I get upset? Because what I see simply is this sheer stupidity. I see it with all people. Is their whole makeup about life or whatever is their belief systems, and their belief systems. Like for example, do we really have free will or we don't have free will? You see, there are groups of people who say now we don't have free will. Well, if we don't have free will, then we're robots, aren't we? Or are we not? See, my thinking is simply is that there's got to be, again, a middle path here. It's the same thing with what I would call people arguing about vegan and non-vegan or whatever. Who gives a damn? Who really gives a damn? You see, that's a belief. That's, again, on one of these pillars here. You see, this is let people be who they are. You're no better than anybody else. If there's such and such a person who says they believe in meat, such and such, let them be. Let them be. Or they like to such and such with the vegan, such and let them be. But the point simply is you preach it as if it's gospel, as though it's the truth. And that's not true. And it might be true to you, but it may not be true to others. And it's very disrespectful in a lot of ways that people come on here on Facebook and claim this and that. You have to understand these are also traps. You choose, most of us choose, which is what I'm going back to the parents, we simply choose, we actually basically eat the same things that our parents ate. Is it bad? Could be. A lot of things are maybe not bad. But listen to me. 50 or 60 years ago, or even longer, the food was far more pure than it is now. There were far less chemicals in it, okay? So it didn't matter even back then if you ate meat or you ate vegetables or fruit, okay? All of it's important, okay? And also including water, you see. So what's happened simply is that those that be, you're missing the whole point, is that the food in a long time ago was far more pure, that you actually drank milk. Yes, I'm well aware that Cow milk is for cows. Okay, I get that. And that's the choices of people, such and such and such. A lot of times people had no other choice in certain foods where they lived at. Okay, certain things grew and certain things did not grow. So, for example, fruits. Well, where you go? Well, you can't grow too many fruits up north, can you? And the further north you go, there'll be less and less fruits. Plus, there are less and less growing seasons. So that it keeps that from that. So, in other words, wherever reason of the country you're born here in the United States or elsewhere in the world means you're eating certain foods. It's not rocket science here. Okay. So, what I'm saying here is that people get hang up on this and they create what I call traps. And this is what gets people caught up in, but, people come across in a way as though they know it all in that particular realm, and they don't. See, we have the ability to choose whatever we want to choose. I believe that many things here on this realm, this price, are indeed traps. And people, and I've done it myself, okay? I believe this, I believe that. For example, I was involved in my college years, I was involved with the college Republicans, and I voted for the Republican Party for a long time. Then I got involved in 2004 and got involved in what they call a party called the Constitution Party. And I was involved in it for probably 4 years, 3 or 4 years. And then I realized, wait a minute, something's wrong here. Nothing's changing. It's the same thing. And people say, well, one part of the thinking, this is the thinking that most Americans have. And it's the same all over the world, folks, if there's a two-party system. In Austria, I know there's 5 parties. There are other what I call, so there's more of what I call a choice. But the whole idea of voting is simply saying you have to have someone to lead you. And that's what I point out many times. You don't have to have anybody to lead you. You self-govern yourself, so you do no harm to anybody. When you live this out, you're setting yourself in a way different from other people. And what it means simply is you're on the middle path. Okay? You're not caught up in believing in a system of politics. You're not caught up in the 2 pillars. You go between the pillars. You go through the narrow path, you see. The narrow way, where very few people are. But when you set precedents to doing this, when you set this and say, this is this is what I'm going to do, you are creating a way out of the 2 pillars. You're no longer going to be caught on the masculine or the feminine. All these things that keep people unbalanced. That's the other thing. When you're on one pillar and the other pillar, you're not balanced. So this is what I'm trying to explain to you, that actually people get caught up in this and they don't realize it. Okay. And, what is happening simply is all these programs or all these things going on were not created by you. Somebody else was what I would call someone who would set these things up would say, oh, I'm introducing an idea such and such. Okay. But they were told those ideas by those who rule this realm to continue to divide you, and to continue to divide you that you fight among each other. We are actually all God's children, folks. Okay? No one is any better than the other. Yes, there are different paths. Correct. All right? There are different ways. A lot of people come here and have to go through far more shadow work, what I would call more stress upon them to change. Their life becomes wrecked by what happens because they either are not able to see how they're being fooled by someone else, how they're treated in their family, and how love is taught that actually is not love, you see. And this is why we have a chaotic world in some ways, okay? We must break free of these chains that are upon us. Again, those pillars are what I call chains that hold us and bound us and keeps us from actually being truly free. So when I say, you should create, don't get part of what I call the right and left paradigm or the right and left pillars. What it means simply is that you're seeking the truth. You're seeking wisdom. Okay. You're not buying on what I call a lower spectrum here. You're moving up. Your hope is to have an omni perspective. That means being above all of it, looking above, as we would say, not looking in the area of the details of all the trees around you, but to be able to come up and look and see the whole perspective. That's what I call omni, O-M-N-I, I should say. And so when you look at that perspective and seeing, okay, yes, I see the big picture now. The whole picture, I should say, not just the big picture, the whole picture of what's going on. And this is what I see, these little camps. Okay, well, there's a camp over here on such and such. You believe this, such and such. So it's another religion. You go here, and there's a, no, we believe this, such and such. Okay, this is what camp we are. We against the good, such. So it's over and over and over. It keeps people fighting among themselves. And that's what those who want to continue this ruling of us want us to do, to fight among ourselves. That's the whole idea. They continue to do this, you see. People are so caught up in their own way of thinking, they cannot think outside of that, or they refuse to think outside that. It's a trap. It's a trap, folks. It's a complete trap. I think about simply as this: the Eastern thinking and the Western thinking. West tends to be more logical. East tends to be what I call more. They have a different perspective of who God is. In fact, we know that simply we have been influenced by the three major religions from the Western perspective. That is the Jewish religion, the Roman Catholicism religion, Christianity, and we also with the religion Islam. They're all religions. They're just a belief systems, folks. Now, you can glean something out of those, but you'll realize that each one of those particular groups represents a masculine perspective. So they're on the masculine, they're on the male pillar, the masculine pillar. Okay. And there are others who have a belief that simply there are many gods, or as pagans would believe. Now, I don't know what there is that goes back on the feminine pillar or not, but what I'm saying simply is that both those groups represent pillars, and both cannot be right. And that's the way I see it simply is there's a middle path. There's always a middle path through the two pillars. So that's why I shared this Masonic deal, this artwork, the whole black and white checkered board, chessboard, black and white, meaning you're divided. Most people don't see that because they've just gotten common thinking. So, oh, it's a checkerboard. It's just a way you go through things. In fact, you can go through. I'm sure I could actually be interested to go to one of these Masonic buildings and go inside. But that's what they lay out. So they lay out this artwork upon you, and that's what I think is what's in here is this artwork, as you see here. You see, or you see in other areas per se. Okay, so I'm just sharing with you what I see. I see just simply a lot of these things are boxes of ways of actually keeping you in those boxes. Many people who are born in Christianity, that is, their parents are Christians, follow the same thing. They never question anything about if this is true or not. They never look outside of that. They never are curious to see what's out there, because they've been told basically that everything out there outside of Christianity is of the devil. And so they never actually deal with that fear in their lives. They have a legal interpretation of what they think is true, a literal interpretation. I think I said legal. I meant to say literal. And so this is what keeps people trapped. They just continue to go in this. And it just, if there's such a thing as reincarnation, I think that maybe there is, but I don't know for sure. So the whole idea, what I'm saying simply is that people are caught up in this and you're deceived. So I hope that you see what I'm saying. Again, I'd like to have some feedback from others. This what we're at, folks, is that we are dealing with a war upon our spirits here and our soul. Those this realm, they're trying to destroy all life, and you hadn't figured that out. I'm sorry you haven't. I really am, because that's what they're doing. They're trying to destroy life. They hate life. They hate you. They hate all life. When you think about this, we look at this. When you see another person, you must understand they're a living person. Just like you go outside and are in the woods, you have to understand that the trees are just not trees, but they're living trees. So that particular perspective is they're living in some way simply is you must respect all life around you, all of it. It's not just a tree. And this is why I recommend some of the things that author Christian shares. His name is Christian. That's how this is the traps they create for us. And so we go out and we destroy everything around us when it's actually a living thing. You see, we see this with developments. We see this with the whole perspective, the whole ingrained thing, like, for example, suburbia or subdivisions, that all our houses are on a little plat of land, barely enough to even live on. And they've got us believing that's the way life is supposed to be. This is part of the Hollywood script. If you remember, like Father Knows Best or all these other programs you see, they show these houses that were already produced in California, so to speak, in Los Angeles or whatever, Hollywood. And they created that, you see. And people think that's what it's supposed to be like. And it's not. It's not. We're supposed to be on the land. We're supposed to be working the land. And they've deceived us, and they've taken the land that was once our family's names. And I see it in my own family, how we buy into their own projections, their own thoughts of how we're supposed to be. Why can't we live on the land? Why can't everybody have 40 acres of land, folks? Why does somebody else have to have it? Why do we have to pay for water? Why do we have to pay taxes? Because it's a belief system. You believe you need government. And when you believe you need government, they're going to exercise their will upon you. So you must understand that. And so you're deceived in so many ways. We've gotten so far away from what we call the Garden of Eden. We're not even close. And so we live in cookie cutter houses. And a lot of us just live in our houses all the time. As you see this whole thing, mechanism. I mean, you see what's going on here? They're creating their paradigms, their pictures of what they want you to be, and you buy into it. We all bought into it. Our parents bought into it. And so it's deception. Okay. I wish you a good day. Take care. Thank you for listening.